This show is proudly supported by Habitats at Home, Australia's leading PVC reptile enclosure specialist. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook at Habitats at Home, and be sure to visit habitatsathome.com.au if you're in the market for a new PVC reptile enclosure or other reptile accessories. Massive thanks to Tyson over at Habitats at Home. We'd like to thank our podcast sponsor, Bay, reimagining reptile keeping through innovation. They combine quality, design, and function to create high-end 3D printed reptile products. And if you've got a unique setup or problem, they'll craft a custom solution made just for you. Check them out on Instagram at Bay. This show is proudly supported by Dan from Red Earth Reptiles. If you want to drool over some of the best looking green tree pythons in the country, check out Dan on Instagram at red_earth_reptiles. G'day and welcome to Under the Heat Lamp with Joe Mack. Today I'm joined by Wes Reed and Scott Macor, both authors on the latest Goanna paper. G'day fellas, how you going?
Hey Joe,
Hey, Joe.
it's good to be here.
Fantastic to have you both here.
Too much.
Yeah.
We're off to a roaring start.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is going to be rough.
It'll be fine. So obviously there's a new Goanna paper out just recently detailing 3 new species in the Odatria subfamily. And I must apologise in advance to the listeners. These two boys are well and truly miles ahead of me in terms of their understanding of it all. Well, they wrote the damn thing for a start, and I had to Google, I think, 3 words in the abstract alone. So would either of you, maybe Wes as one of the primary authors, would you mind just giving us a quick rundown on what the paper is?
Yeah, well, hopefully I don't stumble immediately. And any of the extra complicated things we'll just blame on the other the first author, Stephen. But yeah, we recently had our paper published describing 3 new rock monitors from northeast Queensland. One of them's been known about for quite a long time, and the other 2 have been a fair bit more obscure. Although I think Iridus has been known by a few people, it wasn't really clear what it was. But yeah, we spent a lot of time, Scott, Stephen and I, and the rest of the co-authors, doing various aspects of the project over the last 3 to 4 years to bring it together. And last Friday, we were very excited when it was finally published, as I'm sure Scott would attest. Yeah.
Man, just weeks of back and forth messaging between Wes and I. Is it going to drop this week? Is it going to come out today? And then it finally did, which was super exciting. So yeah, Friday was awesome.
Yeah, so for someone who might not know about scientific publication, why didn't you know when it was going to come out? And I guess what was the timeline from when you submitted it to when the paper actually was released?
How do we want to do this, Scott? Do you want to cover this or me?
You can cover this one. Yeah,
All right.
Stephen submitted it, but I guess you would know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we submitted about June, July last year. It's just such a long process, and then we didn't hear back for a couple months. We went through one round of review where we got a lot of slightly odd comments that we had to address, that frustrated some of us a little bit more than others. We sent that back in, and Stephen and I were kind of the main ones addressing any of the review process and all the proofing stuff, and we were trying to be on top of it as possible. We'd get things back within a couple of days, but the other end of it, we have no control over the over the journal and how much time they give it. So it would take weeks to months to hear back. And yeah, so it was accepted in November, and then I guess we thought it had come out pretty quickly from there, but it's still, I think we went through 3 or 4 rounds of proofs where you kind of get the manuscript back as set out as an actual paper, which is exciting. And you think you're there, and you go through and you find mistakes, and Stephen is meticulous and kept finding mistakes even when the rest of us couldn't. So yeah, I think there was 4 rounds of it in the end, and sometimes they come back 2 weeks later, and it ramped up. And we sent back the last one, and I think a week later, because they don't tell you anything, you just send it back and hope for the best. And a week later, Stephen just refreshed his the website, and there it was, and the text went around to me and to Scott, and we're all straight to the pub, I think, to have a beer, which was
Awesome.
really good.
I'm having a beer now. I'm celebrating it now. I probably maybe could have mentioned that, but it must be so frustrating, and I'm sure academics across the globe feel the frustration when they've put all this hard work into well into their work, and they've submitted it ready for publication, and it just takes time, and I guess probably the effort might not be reciprocated that you've put into to being the publishers getting it back on board. But that's probably just one of the constraints of writing papers, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like it's always a pretty slow process because normally you get a team of reviewers. Typically, it's like two, and then you get one reviewer that has a few minor comments. It's pretty straightforward. You can address them quickly. And then there's almost always reviewer two that just hammers the paper, and
Uh,
it takes you so long to address those comments. And yeah, the first round of this, there was a few weird comments, so it kind of was hard to address some of them. But yeah, it's always a slow process.
yeah,
But the other
absolutely.
reviewer
Well,
was like, "This is great," and we're like, "Yes, that's what we want to see."
awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. This
Yeah.
is a pretty boring. Let's talk about lizards. How did this come about? How was the inception of this? Like, were there just, we knew of this at least one lizard. How did it go from that to becoming, describing new species?
I'm probably gonna let Wes cover this because he himself and then Justin and Nick are kind of the ones responsible, I guess, for kicking this whole thing off for us at least. So Wes can take it away.
Yeah, I mean, as Nick and Justin would probably be proud to say, we're actually looking for Larista when we found the first Varanus Umbra. Um, and Umbra was really like nobody knew what it was, or like there was an INAT photo I think that was taken in 2015, but was only posted in 2020 of Umbra. And I don't know of anyone that had found one before then. I'm sure probably someone has, and it'll make me sad when they tell me they have, but I don't know of any before that. But yeah, we're out in the Gregory Range, and we were like basically waiting for night to look for geckos, and I flipped this goanna, and it took off. And at the time, I really didn't know much about goannas. I tried to look down on them actually. It's like skinks are better. So I didn't even wasn't even going to bother to catch it, but Nick was next to me, and he was like, let's like catch it and take some photos. Like, what else are we gonna do? We've got hours of daylight. So it took ages to catch it because they're quick. And then yeah, we both caught it and we're like, oh, this is a bit funky looking, but we're still idiots. We didn't really realize it, and it wasn't until Justin rocked up. He often wanders away when you're out herping, and he was like,
Oh
"What
yeah.
the fuck is that?" And I guess at that point we're like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." But again, like we didn't really have the means to do anything with it. Like we just took our photos, and when once I got back from that trip, it was Steven who saw the photos and was like, that's really cool. Maybe we can do something with that, which was really cool because yeah, I didn't think we would be able to do any sort of goanna taxonomy. That was far beyond my reach at that point. So that kind of kicked it off, and we saw some greenheads that trip as well, what people usually refer to phosphorus as, which had obviously been known about for a really long time. And so that was far less exciting, but like still really cool. Any rock monitor's cool. And yeah, we went back a year later again to look for Larista, but this time we were prepared for goannaing as well. So we could take some like preliminary tissue samples and get some mitochondrial genetic data back, and kind of go from there. And yeah, so we saw more umbra, more phosphorus, and by pure coincidence, we also found iridis that trip as well, while looking for Larista alia. So we got samples for that, sequenced them, and got the results back, and it was like pretty clear that these are really deeply divergent lineages, which was cool because we didn't really know what we're dealing with at all. You think there's at least one new species there, but beyond that, you don't know. And so it was from there that we really, a year later again, so it was every winter from 2021 to 2023, I went looking for these goannas basically. So
No, you went looking
2023,
for little skinks and found goannas.
yes,
Did you
yes,
find
but
the Larista?
we did find the Larista, which was
Oh,
also
thank
very
God.
important. Yeah, exactly. It's great. Um, but yeah, and then so I went back in 2023 with Stephen and Scott, and this time we were prepared to kind of actually get specimens and proper tissue samples as well to like really get into this project, and maybe Scott should cover some of that.
Oh yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. Yeah, so that was what July 2023, I think, that we
Yep.
all met. I think you guys drove up from Canberra, picked me up from Townsville, and then we headed out.
Yeah. What do we? Yeah, it doesn't matter. I think we
Or
flew
did
to
you
Townsville.
fly? I don't know. No,
Yeah.
but we had.
Whatever.
Oh, that's right, because the troopy was here. Anyway, So we all jumped in the troopy. This is the same troopy that I did all my PhD work with. So it was fitting that we'd go look for goannas in that thing. And then yeah, we headed out. And then the first where we the
No, because
first
this is
site
the
we went
important thing.
to.
This is all started by Larista.
That's true. This is all on the back of looking for Larista. So on this trip, that's actually where we got the type series for Larista Curry Chigara as well, which is the one that we described. Was that last year?
Yeah, it was.
Man, all this stuff blurs. I
Wait,
should
it's
have actually
blurred.
taken some notes.
Yeah,
Um,
last year.
yeah. And then, so yeah, we headed out from Townsville. I think we went like around Jewenden first. We went and looked at Odura Atra and got some photos of them, which I
Cool.
think at that time was still undescribed as well. So it was
Yeah, it hadn't
cool to
dropped.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, headed to North Head Station, which is kind of loosely connected to my family, which was pretty cool. So I've got an auntie and uncle that have some property out there, and they have the Gregory Ranges, which is this big sandstone escarpment, runs kind of through their property. And we went walking around there and looking for Varanus, what is now Varanus Umbra. And after many hours, we were able to get one, which was pretty exciting.
Scott lost the first one, I'd like to say, actually.
Yeah, that
Oh
is
no.
true. Actually, we've been looking around for ages, and I flipped this little piece of cap rock. I mean, we basically found all these things under cap rock. We're just walking around the day flipping, and then I flipped this first piece. Well, not the first piece, but flipped a piece that looked really good, and then it just immediately shot off. And it would have been like a big male. It was a nice looking lizard, and then just gone. I was like,
Gone.
Steven, it's over here somewhere. And we looked around for a while, and then yeah, we're just never able to catch it. But
It was a bit
eventually,
disheartening.
we did get one, which was exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, very exciting. Scotty, I don't think I knew that it was like you had a loose family relation to that area. That's really cool. Um,
Yeah, on anyway, yeah, mum's side,
yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
somewhere along the lines. Um, I was going to
it's
ask,
dad's side.
so, so, so the methodology was just walk around all day, flipping rocks for these goannas, basically.
Pretty much.
Pretty
Yeah,
much. So you obviously knew that they were closely associated with rock escarpments, and capstones are the perfect spot to look, I suppose. So it makes sense. I in the one of the words I had to Google in the abstract was scansorial, which is a fantastic word. And now I know. I'm never going to use it apart from now, but
might as well make the most of it now in this podcast.
yeah,
Not the one to
scansorial
blame Stephen.
goannas.
Can
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
give us a definition?
associated with climbing, particularly rocks, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty accurate, yeah.
Yeah. Well, can we go over the three species? There's Umbra, found out a bit further west in the Gregory Ranges, and then
Yeah,
there's Phosphorus, which is like the Cooktown, Mount Malloy, that sort of rocky escarpment
yeah.
area there.
That one goes
And then,
all the way to Cape Melville, so it's probably like the
oh, it
most
does.
widely
Yeah.
distributed one. Yeah,
Yeah.
And they've been
Have you
found near
found
Laura
them?
as well.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a pretty big range. And then there's Iridis, which is not in those places, it's somewhere else.
It's kind of in between. It's like Mount Surprise
I'm
area.
surprised.
That's
Think
right,
granite.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. And so they overlap, sorry, at all? No,
No,
isolated.
not that
No.
we could find. Yeah, completely
No.
isolated.
That's why, like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of rock, especially between Iridis and Phosphorus. Like, the southern wet tropics area, yeah, all the way out there it needs to be looked at more, because there should be goannas there. I mean, maybe it's just Orientalis, kind of adapting to that niche. Like, I mean, Orientalis does lots of rocky things in places like Maggie and stuff, but
Yeah, oh,
yeah,
yeah.
we don't really know. There's big gaps.
Yeah, totally. It just takes man hours on the ground searching for things, I suppose. Well,
For
I mean,
sure.
it's pretty incredible that these three species have just come up so recently. Like, I feel like I know personally for me, you kind of think, oh, yeah, these are all the species that are, sort of found in the area in Australia or whatever. That's sort of what it is. It's really impressive that three, really impressive, really attractive, not super small lizards can be found and described in recent times. It's really cool, and it, like you're saying, Wes, it just goes to show how much sort of area is out there that hasn't been, I guess, properly surveyed. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I think that at least in my experience, phosphorus is usually pretty easy, like to find if you're in the right area. Like you often find multiple, but I've found Umbra and Iridis quite difficult to find. Like you might find one. I mean, I don't claim to be the premier monitor finder. That I'm sure there's people better at it than me, but yeah, like they certainly require a lot of effort, and they seem pretty cryptic. Like I've seen phosphorus active, but I've never seen an Umbra or Iridis out and about. And like there's photos from Cobalt Gorge of Umbra skating around, but they also see people a lot more frequently there, so maybe they're a bit more habituated. I think they're pretty cryptic lizards, so they're hard to find.
Yeah, I imagine similar to many other rock monitors, they're highly alert, very intelligent, and just um, happy to evade people and potential threats whenever they can.
Yeah, happy to laugh at us. I think Stephen had a line in the paper that I quite enjoyed, calling us oblivious for not being able to spot them, which I thought was funny.
Did he include himself in there as well? Or just call
Oh,
it
you
you
just
guys?
called us all authors, so I think we're all thrown in.
All thrown in the
Yeah,
mix there. Um,
yeah.
how did the naming of the species, or I guess the etymology, come about? How did you decide on names? And I guess I don't know what resources did you use? Is there a resource when it comes to naming these things, or do you guys have much creative control over it?
Yeah, yeah. I guess we can call out Stephen again on that one for being a gigantic nerd, but also being very good at naming things. I think credit to him, all the names were proposed by him. And I think, yeah, I mean, I think he has like a nerd Latin book
Yeah,
for
he's got
like
some
going
book
through
that he
this.
looks everything
Yeah,
A
up.
nerd Latin
every now and
book.
then he sends me texts. He's like, "Oh, maybe this would be a good name for like this or something," and it's like, yeah, it does sound good, but like, why? What? This is so
What are you
random.
doing, man?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he's really good at it, and I mean, I definitely was when he suggested Umbra. I mean, I'm a bit biased, but Umbra's my favorite one. And when he suggested that, I was stoked. I was like, that sounds perfect. And Iridis, I think, is also a brilliant name. It was only really
Iridis is
phosphorus for
fantastic.
me that I was like, I still like it. I was just slightly more on the fence, and I think we tossed around a couple of options with that one. But the other two, it was like, yep, perfect.
Yeah, done. And
Yeah,
iridis, sort of roughly what from what I was reading, translates to like rainbow or colors of the rainbow, which I guess denotes when you look at the lizard, it really does have quite a blend of colors. But what does umbra refer to?
I
Umbra's
just
like shadow. Is that what it
yeah,
is in Latin? And so it was like a reference to the orange fading to that grey kind of color on the body, and then I guess in reference to yeah shadow at sunset kind of thing. But it was cool. I like the names because they're all associated with color. And a cool thing about this group is that you can kind of pick them all on their color as well, which is nice. That was one of the most exciting things about this is that I mean Wes and I and Stephen all work on things that are kind of morphologically the same.
It's the
So like a
same,
bunch
yeah.
of Gahyra or Larista that you don't get a lot of variation. And then
yep.
yeah, we got these things, three goannas, and they all look different, which was yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah,
So it's
amazing.
nice to name them based on colours.
Is there much morphological difference other than coloration, or are they pretty similar?
You
I
can
reckon,
do this, Wes. You measured them all.
yeah, I did. Counting mid bodies on them as hell. I think you'll see there's like I did four measurements for each of them that are included, and they're all like I never get the same measurement twice basically because it was
Oh yeah,
rough.
yeah.
But yeah, I think Umbra and Iridis are really similar. Like if you take away the color, they look pretty much identical.
Okay.
Phosphorus is a little bit bigger, a bit more tristisy, maybe not quite as flat as well. Um, and there's a little bit of difference in the scales on their dorsal surface. There's like phosphorus has a few extra granules, which might also be just because they are slightly bigger. Um, but yeah, they're mostly very similar, I think. And even I haven't actually seen Glaridai, but I guess they're a bit different morphologically from them, from what I know.
Yeah.
You might know
Are
better
they
than me,
bigger?
Ska.
Are they bigger?
Smaller,
Smaller.
definitely Iridis and Umbra are smaller. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
they're tiny. And also, was the tail spines at the base is a good way to distinguish them from orientalis. There's a
Yeah.
diagram of that somewhere in the paper.
Somewhere in the paper.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Right
I think
there.
It's
Steven
like
sent
the
me the
next one. Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, I like that. I
Yeah,
think
so the
Steven found
Tristis
that.
obviously
Well, sorry.
the Tristis obviously have much bigger spurs than the Phosphorus and tail spines as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fascinating.
All three of the new ones look like phosphorus that way. They just don't really have
Right.
spines.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you were catching them out in the field, what sort of like what did that process look like when you've caught one? Obviously, you want to take some morphometrics and maybe a tissue sample, and naturally, when finding new species, a holotype needs to be taken and preserved as well. How does that all go down?
Yeah, so it's kind of like one of the roughest parts about doing species descriptions is that for a name to be associated with something, you need a holotype, which is like the designated specimen for that species or that name. And then you also collect a couple of paratypes to compare morphology. So basically, all these new species have goannas that are no longer alive associated with them.
Yeah.
There's a holotype for Umbra, Phosphorus, and Iridis. And so the tissue samples and stuff aren't taken in the field. They're usually taken afterwards when you're in the process of preserving them. And then
Yeah.
same with the measurements as well. I think Wes did this section, but you compare color pattern in life to preserved as well. But the
Okay.
majority of the measurements are taken once they're made into specimens. That's when you get your tissue samples as well.
Yeah. And you'd be using some sort of program to compare color like that, wouldn't you? Surely. How does that? No. You just freestyle, just looking at it. Yeah, mate, it's different.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty. Like, it depends on how obvious your difference is. In these, it is pretty different, and like from what we found, it's very consistent as well. I think, which was the key thing. They
Yeah. Okay.
always kind of look at how we describe it, as far as we know. Maybe we're wrong. And I guess if you're getting to the stage where you need programs to trying to tell the difference color wise, it's probably not that important, and you can still just kind of loosely describe it and just not include it as like a difference, or in other words, like there's the diagnoses sections here where we discuss the like explicit differences between them. So you wouldn't include it there; you just have it in their like coloration and life section. Yeah,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Can you explain some of the like diagnoses that you just mentioned just then? Like what like what sort of things have you written in the diagnose? Obviously, I strategically haven't read this paper so that I can be a sponge and absorb all the information now, of course. So can you give us some information there, Scott, please?
Oh, mate. No.
Always, I don't care.
Where's wrote all this?
Yeah, I wrote it and then
I
Steven
was
made it
just
better.
there specifically to catch goannas. That is my contribution to this paper. I mean, I did like a little bit more than that, but mostly it was to catch lizards. So Wes can do the diagnoses.
All right.
Yeah, I guess we've covered most of it actually. So Tristis orientalis things are slightly bigger in terms of body size. That's kind of the first difference. The tail spine difference is really obvious for differentiating this clade from Tristis as well, along with the spurs. These being rock monitors, I guess it's unsurprising that they're way smoother. So I guess without color, those are the key obvious things. And yeah, I mean, Iridis's color is nothing else has a blue neck. So that's its key diagnosis.
Yeah.
Phosphorus has the really clear ocelli pattern the whole way down its back, getting basically to the back legs and then breaking into little bands on its tail, which neither Iridis or Umbra have. They kind of fade out before there. And Umbra's kind of taking it to the other end of the extreme. Like by mid-body, they're usually pretty faded pattern-wise.
Faded, yeah.
For telling them apart between the three of them. And yeah, Umbra obviously has like the orange head just fading to smoky grey. There's something about, I forget, I should remember this. You write the paper and it just goes straight out of your head.
It's okay. You're not getting graded on this, Wes.
Brutal. The scales on the eyes and then like the bit of the skull in between the eyes in the Scalaris group, they change in size, I think, and they don't change in size in these and Tristis, or it could be the other way around.
I read
Scotty's
that today.
nodding.
I
Yeah,
read that section specifically because I figured that would come up and just immediately forgot. But
immediately
yeah, it's
forgot it.
something to do
Yeah,
with this the scales around the eyes.
Something, something.
I mean, they're
Where's
also
yeah,
just smaller, so
yeah.
that works.
that
And
helps?
the tail's like super easy to go off.
And I
Yeah.
guess like the key thing we do here, and I mean we don't need to do it so much. Like you don't need to have a bunch of different really diagnosable morphological characters to call it a new species. Essentially, like the I guess in how we structure it, the most important part is the genetics, which clearly shows that they're different already. And as we deal with our Gahara and our Hets, where there is no morphological difference or very little, that's all that's needed. So we kind of have both here. So we have a couple of key morphological differences and deep genetic divergence. So the combination is really strong.
So I don't need a detailed, summary of it, but can you just explain a little bit how the genetic divergence to denote species kind of works? Like, just yeah, a
I
little
think
bit
this
of a
is the
summary
one
on that.
thing I kind of prepped for. So hopefully it's not too boring.
Fantastic.
But so what we call a species, or I mean, the authors are calling species, are two lineages that don't breed and like hybridize, essentially. And you can't tell, you don't have a natural experiment to tell that because these guys don't overlap sympatrically. But you can look at other groups that are closely related. In this case, we look at Tristis and Glauridie, which actually are sympatric, and see that they have strong reproductive isolation. They're clearly two separate species. And then we see how genetically divergent those two are and compare it to what we have. So I did the dating analyses, and it put the split, the youngest split in our three, which is between Umbra and Iridis, at about 4 million years, and the split between Glauridie and Tristis at 2.5. And the number's not that important, it's just the relative difference. So ours were almost double the amount of divergence you have there. So it's pretty strong evidence there that they probably don't hybridize and they're good species.
How do you go from taking a little cutting off a goanna's tail to getting that information,
Um,
and then applying it to get these sorts of numbers?
yeah, a lot of fancy equations that I have no idea how they work. You just feed some stuff in and then it gives you an answer and you hope that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Well, if you
really
feed it in
expose.
and get the same answer enough times.
Yeah, like you got to think a lot about the different kind of expectations you have going into it and the potential things that might give you the same signal in your data as what you expect that aren't actually caused by them being real species. But yeah, I don't know that we want to go too deep into it. And it also exposed me as a fraud because all I do is genetics and I don't know anything about it. I didn't
Don't
actually
know
do
how
too
it
much of it.
works.
I didn't do much of it in undergrad, and now my PhD is purely genetics, so I don't know what I'm doing.
No, you're stuck in it.
You
But
just
that
you get the tissue sample, smoosh it up a bit, send it off to someone. They send
Yeah,
you data back, and then you analyze it. That's basically what happens.
well, that
Um,
sounds fantastic. You give them a little
yeah.
squished up bit of lizard, and they turn around with numbers.
yeah. I guess a bit of a shout out to the funding team here. We kind of piggybacked on. There was a huge project to sequence pretty much every Australian reptile and frog, it's concluded now, and there's still a couple gaps, but we basically have genomic data for almost every species. So Stephen was involved in a lot of that, and he kind of got to throw these samples in there. So we're like, yes, sequence them for us, and we can use this. But yeah, that was the Ozark initiative, and that was obviously very helpful for us. Because yeah, we didn't really like it contributes to that data set, so it gives back to their outcomes, and we also get to use the data for nothing, which is great.
Yeah, I did want to ask about the funding sort of side of things because obviously it costs money to go out into the bush and full stop, and then it also costs money to sit down and write papers. So how do you guys get paid?
We don't.
Basically,
Just do it for
I
the
mean,
love.
I think that first year you not working or something. You took leave or you volunteered essentially, Wes. Whereas I was on my PhD stipend, so at least I was getting paid for that. And Stephen had his postdoc salary, which is from the university. But did you
Yeah.
Yeah.
volunteer?
No, it was just for fun trips every time for me.
Yeah,
It was during
every
my
time.
honors, the last one, so I guess
Yeah.
I was technically studying at the time, but I wasn't getting paid. It was just for
Yeah.
fun.
Just the
But
fancies.
that trip that we did where we actually got, sorry, I'm fiddling again, where we got the specimens. Again, it's Larista because Stephen, I think, paid for at least part of that with funding he had to do some Larista surveys, which is where we got the new species. And we also hit a bunch of different places throughout the Ironsley Uplands looking for new populations of other threatened Larista. So it was kind of covered under that, which was really helpful. It's good when you can hit a bunch of different project goals with one source of
The
money, I
same amount of
guess.
funding. Yeah, that's awesome. And it
Yeah,
obviously looks good to show that you are being productive with the money as well, because I'm sure, um, I imagine actually, I'm not sure. I imagine you guys probably have to justify your works pretty frequently to continue to receive funding. Is
Well,
that how it
yeah, I
works?
mean,
I don't know.
kind of like to be competitive for grants, you basically have to constantly have output. And output for an academic is papers. So whether
yeah,
that's species descriptions or just general like science papers, for you to remain competitive, you basically just have to keep pumping those out. And
push or
so
perish.
yeah, exactly. When you can get a bunch of publications from one bit of funding, it's good. It's good
It's
for your
pretty
career.
neat. Yeah. Um, do you guys have oh no, you've already answered it. Never mind. I won't ask that one. I was going to say, do you have favorites? But I think you both might have said it already. Did you say it?
I don't know if we got
Yeah,
Scott's favorite.
I don't know. Like, okay, my favorite's definitely Umbra. Um, just because of the habitat, like those sandstone escarpments of the Gregory Ranges are insane. So good. And then you get a goanna with that orange head fading to grey. Like that gradient's just unique in itself. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Iridis is cool. It's pretty. It's kind of rainbow. But yeah, I don't know. Umbra does it for me.
I think the one we caught that is now the holotype too. She was. I mean, I don't really know with goannas, but she was a female and she was just insanely pretty. She's by far the prettiest one of that species I've seen. I don't know if male, like if there's usually a color difference between sexes. I would have thought it might go the other way because I've then definitely caught umbra that are fairly washed out, and I think they've
Mhm.
been bigger boys generally. But yeah, as Scott
Yeah.
said, the
Okay.
Gregory Range is awesome, and you've also got like there's a number of endemic species there now, which is really cool. Tenotus rungula, Lucasium iris, and all sorts of other cool things poke into there. So it's a really good place to get out and see what you can find.
Yeah. I mean, it looks fantastic. Sort of these rocky sort of images here. That really should spike a bit of excitement in any reptile enthusiast's brain. I think it's pretty awesome to look at. Um, how did you go about picking a holotype? Like, was it just? I don't want to, hang around on the morbid topic, but how do you go about it? Do you just go, oh yeah, this one will do? Because obviously, every so often, within reptiles, you might get a freak that just isn't. It doesn't really match up with all the other ones. So, was there any specific criteria to picking a holotype, or was it just whatever?
I mean, you basically just, like you said, you don't want to pick something that's abnormal to everything else. So you have to pick a specimen that's ideally representative of the whole species.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we basically just picked our favorite ones, I think.
Yeah,
pick your
we
favorite ones to pickle.
yeah exactly. I mean, they all got pickled, but we didn't also have that many to choose from as well. I think the type series of Umbra is just one holotype and a paratype, and then it's
Yeah,
three for the other two.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
because we kind of did
Yeah,
our
okay.
loop and we'd only got the one Umbra, but we got the three phosphorus,
And we
and
only
we
got
got
one Iridis that as well.
uh yeah, we did because then
We did,
we went
yeah.
back at the end of that trip. We did another like fly out to the sandstone, and like after a whole day, got another Umbra, and that was relieving. There's that funny photo of us because that thing actually got away as well. We'd like given up and walked away, and we came
Oh,
back 10 minutes later, and I could see it popping its head out, and we got it the second time. So that was
gotcha.
relief.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah, it's
guys
probably
got sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say it's good to circle back to actually collecting them because that's probably the most fun bit of this
Oh,
whole thing.
undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Uh,
Collecting them and then the day that the paper got released, I imagine, would be the most exciting parts for you guys.
Pretty much, yeah. Getting good photos is pretty good too.
Oh, they are
Yeah,
painful to photograph.
Yeah, but when you walk away with something that you're happy with, it's nice. It was hard work though. Oh my god.
yeah. Which, as a herp photographer, I feel like that. Not that I am much of one these days, but I feel like you rarely walk away and go, "Yep, I got a great photo." So That must be pretty damn nice, Scotty. I'm loving the Instagram posts lately as well, by the way.
The
Um,
spam.
I got a
strike it,
spam. Like
just strike it
Nuga
while the iron's
winners,
hot, man.
yeah, exactly. Nuga winners doesn't happen every day, and
Nah,
they're pretty cool. So I'll make the most of it.
they're pretty cool as an understatement. I think they're fantastic.
But
Did
yeah,
you
so that
guys?
on that first trip. Oh,
Sorry,
sorry, Joe.
go. No, 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 go.
So yeah, we initially got that one Umbra, which took ages, and then we went to get Iridis, which I think we went to Talaroo, and
Yeah, we
we
got.
spent ages like looking in
Yeah,
crevices and underneath stuff like capstone, and then I think we only got the one holotype, well, the one specimen from there,
yeah.
and then we did
We
a
spent
bunch
like
of other
another
things like
day and a
some
half
more
trying to get
restoring.
Iridis as well, and we didn't
Yeah,
get
that's
another one.
true. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we were a
struggled
bit
with it.
demoralized there.
Damn.
We took a detour. We're doing more Laristering, and
Yeah.
Scott produced an Anteo Serpents, which was the first one for Stephen and I. That really
Oh,
brought up the mood. We'd had
nice.
a whole day. We'd been in really nice habitat. We'd just seen nothing. Like I don't know, it was weird. We found nothing. Conditions were good, and then
Yeah.
that night, spotlighting, also seeing nothing. We like walk back to the car, and Scott's like, "His little present." It's like, yes.
Yeah,
We
boy.
was so deflated that day. There's a photo going around. You might have seen it on Wes's story, Joe, of Steven just looking so depressed, walking behind me while I like am cooking dumplings. And Wes had just kicked a bunch of dust and specimens. We hadn't seen anything. It was hot. It was
Okay, whoa,
brutal.
whoa, whoa, whoa. He was doing his specimen stuff like 10 meters away. It was just really windy and dry, so when I walked, dust went flying. It wasn't a deliberate dusting, but he wasn't happy.
But,
I
man,
imagine.
that was a rough day. And it just saw nothing. And then, yeah, finally, I was just walking around on this little rocky escarpment and looked down. Well, I heard something. I was like, what the hell's that? And it was an Anteo serpent. So I was like, oh, that's incredible. Wes and
Yeah,
Stephen hadn't seen one. So that was
it was a
just an
big one
instant
too.
mood lift for everyone,
Oh yeah,
which was
Scotty.
good.
I think you might have cracked the code on finding entire serpents. You have to have a really bad day or a really bad time, and then one will turn up. Because
Yeah.
we found
Yeah.
one after a terrible experience.
Yeah,
So
just road crews get nothing. And then
crack
did that
crack
one
the
that one
code.
disappeared off the road briefly, didn't it? And then we got out and walked around and found it.
Well, you
Something
found
like
it
that.
Scott,
afterwards.
I can't remember. Oh, the one that you guys found or the one we found?
No, the one that you and I got.
Man, I can't remember what I had for breakfast, but I'm pretty sure it was just on the road. I'm pretty sure we just I don't know.
Yeah,
We
I have
we
some.
we we photographed it though.
We did. Yeah, I have some vague
There's
memories of it,
evidence.
like being on the road and then it going off and us getting out and walking around and then it being in front of the car or something at some point. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
could just be
I don't know.
talking shit. But
But
we got photos and saw one. It was cool.
yep, we did. I got a roadkill one in a campground at Loyalty Beach at the very tip of Cape York.
Yeah, all right. That's pretty
Super
cool.
random. So yeah, it was. I was like, damn, this is cool. I mean, it's dead unfortunately, but still super cool.
Yeah, cool record. They
Yeah.
just show up
Not,
in weird places. And
Don't
not to
like
like
they're
them.
not
derail
Yeah.
the
seen that
goannas,
often.
guys. Come on.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Back on
one,
track.
one thing that I find interesting about this paper is that you're very transparent with where they occur and pretty much essentially how to find them. So, being that monitors are very popular in the Australian captive hobby, is there a risk of poaching? Because obviously we know about the Lanthanotus, the Bornean earless monitors, and the tragedy that occurred with those guys after they released the location of where they were found. They were practically, supposedly poached to extinction. So, not that I think these guys are going to get poached to extinction, but there must be some sort of associated poaching risk now that we know what they are, I think.
Yeah, I think like the risk is probably heightened now that they have names associated with them. I think we've seen photos of like the green-headed ones in people's captive collections already. I think there's one instance. Wes had some photos. I was like, oh, what the heck?
Yeah,
Anyway,
I've definitely seen them as well.
There's more than one, yeah.
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 So they are around, and I think now that there's a name associated with them, the risk is definitely increased. It's this one's a hard one for me because it's the same with a bunch of Phylurus and like leaf-tailed geckos. Is that if you
Mhm.
don't name something, they can't be protected, and then it's also not representative of our like true level of biodiversity. So you want to put names on things and have them sorted, but also the risk increases of people doing the wrong thing. I think with these guys is it's a small section of their range that's accessible. I have no doubt that at some point someone will do the wrong thing and poach them, and it will be shit. But I think for the most part, the species as a whole are pretty safe. I think the biggest risk will be people going out and looking for them, flipping rock because that's how you find them, and not putting that rock back. So I think like habitat destruction's probably potentially like a genuine risk. So if you go and look for them, just I don't know, it's not that hard. Like you flip the rock, just place it back
No,
down where you found it. Like it's really the bare minimum that you can do.
totally.
Um,
There's a certain etiquette there. Like I had Justin on the podcast a couple of weeks ago talking about raking, and he talks about how you rake up some leaf litter to search for Larista or whatever limb reduced fossorial thing could be living under it. You do your best to place the leaf litter back in the spot that you found it. And if you're flipping a capstone to look what's under it, it only like I couldn't walk away from it being not exactly where it was before. It only makes sense to do that. But I guess there's a lot of herping etiquette that's not really adhered to, which is crazy because you go out herping to find the animals because you supposedly love them. But if you're destroying their habitat, it sort of doesn't really make much sense.
yeah, absolutely. You got anything to add on that one, Wesley?
No, I think you covered that pretty well, and I think the paper does. Yeah, I think realistically the species aren't really at risk from poaching at a population level. It's just whether like there's not too many places that are easily accessible, especially if you're at a number that people can go to see them. It's just the risk of those places becoming crappier because yeah, the habitat just gets
Yeah.
damaged, and it does get damaged. Like even when you're doing the best possible job you can, every now and then something goes slightly wrong and it's not exactly as it was, and that just happens. So yeah, I think with the increased visibility, there'll be damage to some spots, and that's inevitable. But hopefully, it can be minimized.
Yeah, for sure. I think talking about it's important too. Like in an instance like this, I mean. But I also think that giving names to them could somewhat sort of protect them in a way because people who keep them captively now aren't going to be like, oh, look at my Varanus umbra, because people are going to be like, hey, man, where did you get that from? You know? So I think in a way, well, people that are poaching them probably aren't going to be out publicizing them all the time. But if people
Yeah.
were to be posting their captive, new species like that, it could raise some eyebrows for sure.
Yeah, I guess at
Um,
least like it closes off the option of just labeling them as Tristis or Orientalis if they were in captivity. Because
yeah,
I mean, you can pick those differences from a photo. Like it's not hard to do.
It would.
for
I think it
sure.
would be really cool to see these like legally in captivity too. Like
Yeah,
I mean,
Oh,
Koan is really cool.
absolutely.
I'd be lying if I didn't say a pet umbra would look cool in my place. I'd enjoy that. So yeah, hopefully at some point they can be brought in legally via permit. But yeah, I guess we'll wait and see.
yeah.
I
Honestly, like I'm 100% for someone paying the money and collecting a few of them legally, and then
yeah,
just establishing like a breeding population because they would be cool. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Like you could
yeah,
have a
and
nice scape with a couple of small monitors in there. Be so good.
absolutely, and people have the rock monitors pretty much figured out in terms of captive husbandry and reproduction. So I can't imagine they'd be too far apart from anything else that's already kept. And um, there is the option there to collect them legally through appropriate permits and whatnot. So it'd be awesome to see it done. If someone's happy to fork out the money to do it, be great.
Reloaded. Yeah. Actually, there was one thing that I wanted to say with the actual collection trips too, which I thought was both morbid and kind of funny. But one of the phosphorus individuals that Justin and Nick and I got like a tissue sample from in 2022, we went back there to get a specimen at the end of the trip in 2023, and the same lizard was under the same rock and got turned into a specimen. It did not learn.
Oh no!
A bit
Just that
unfortunate
negative
for it.
interaction wasn't enough to keep
No,
it
it
away
wasn't
from that
enough.
rock.
Yeah. At least I guess
Oh
we knew we
no.
flipped that rock back well, so Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate for that one.
There's good and bad there, isn't there?
It was
Damn
pretty
it.
funny. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So
boys,
well, after that first trip, oh sorry, Joey. We had
no, go.
2 Umbra, 1 Iridis, and we get 3
Three.
phosphorus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we nailed them the first trip, and then it took another trip in 2024 for us to
Yes, I
get
wasn't there.
2 more Iridis. Yeah, that's right. It was me, Stephen, and Putter. And oh yeah, I uploaded the photo of like that habitat, and the capstone in that one spot was insane. I think it was probably like 10 by 10 meter grid of cap rock. It was crazy. I flipped the first one, and there was 2 goannas under it, and I was like, man, I could keep flipping this, but like I've got what I need. There would have
No.
been a bunch of goannas under there. It was so good.
Wow. So they're obviously pretty abundant in the appropriate habitat.
Well, yeah, I think the habitat is a limiting factor. Like, if you find that really good spot, obviously you're going to get going as a like with searching crevices and stuff as well. But yeah, that cap rock is just like perfect refugia for them during the day, I think.
But
Yeah,
we also searched like good habitat that day and a half after we got the first Iridis, and
It's true.
we just didn't get one. I mean, like I maybe there wasn't your 10 meter grid of cap rock, but like we were searching good habitat and we still didn't get any more. We didn't even like see any more. So I think I don't know. Maybe they're good at like eyeballing you from a distance and just hiding in inaccessible
Taking
locations.
off.
But I don't know that they are too common.
Yeah,
interesting.
Except for
Yeah, like we were
phosphorus.
talking before. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Phosphorus, widespread, reasonably easy to find.
Yeah, we like rock. I took Scott and Stephen to this granite like at the end of that trip because we were all pretty tired at that point. We'd been on the road and collecting things for a while,
Yeah.
and I think especially Stephen was like he's like done, and wanted it to be done. And I was like, I this should be easy. And we rock up to this one little dome and we instantly get 2 adults, and I'm like, okay, perfect, let's get out of
Yeah.
here.
kept Stephen
That was
happy.
so good.
Keep moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
perfect. And I think that's like reflective of them being, I guess, recognized by naturalists for, I don't know, 20 something years, whatever it was.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, yeah, they're more active. They have a wider distribution. They're just kind of easier to see.
Yeah.
But it's
Sort of
good to actually have a
closer to
name
more
associated.
populated areas too. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's true.
It's Wednesday now, so the paper's I think 5 days old. Have you guys had much feedback? Is it? I've seen it floating around quite a bit. Have you got anything back yet?
I think it's mostly been pretty good. That there's been a fair bit of like social media attention, I guess, mostly from Scott spamming. No, I was also
Sam and his own
spamming it.
pictures.
Yeah, no, all the feedback I've got was pretty positive. I hope everyone's pretty happy with what we did. I think we picked good names, which is always one of the sticking points, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was super happy with the names because, yeah, it's colours. And they're just a nice little group, so it's good that they all related to each other. But I think you said the paper had, what, like 1,500 views or something, which is kind of crazy for a scientific article. Because, I mean, I don't know, you publish something on, I don't want to say it, but Gahira, I might get maybe 5 views. At some
Many
point.
citations, though, Scott. Many citations.
Many
Oh, I don't know about
citations.
One citation. But yeah, it's cool to actually see people appreciate it. I think ANU is doing their proper media rollout in
Yeah,
sometime
hopefully.
this week.
Again, we don't know. We're told nothing.
What would that look like?
I don't know. I think they just put it
A
basically
Facebook
on
post.
there. Yeah, they have other ways. I don't actually know. Like ANU does this like press release, I guess. Which
Okay.
maybe it'll be picked up by a news company or two, which would be pretty cool.
Very cool.
I think they're worth it.
Absolutely. I want to see
yeah.
you on TV.
No, not me. Only Stephen.
No, surely they do you both.
Only if you're
Hey.
there, Scott, will I go on.
Nope.
Nope. Yeah, excellent. I had a train of thought just then, but it's gone. Any other fun stories? Anything else that you boys wanted to add?
No.
Nah.
I
Nah.
don't know.
I don't think I've got much.
I think
But
that's
yes.
about it. Yeah, we kind of covered all the field work.
Yeah, there's
Loose
certainly
lips.
plenty of
Yeah.
gaps out there for people to look and see if they find them, which would be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
It's one
I,
of the
I think I'm
takeaways.
I'm pretty happy to round it out there, fellas. If you guys are, I think it was a pretty damn good chat. Nothing too in depth, nothing too scary. Um, I think it's good. I appreciate both your time. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, sounds
Yeah,
good. Hopefully, I
sounds
didn't
good.
butcher too much, but all good.
No, it was good. I could edit it out, Scotty, later, but I probably won't.
Yeah, just leave it in. It's fine.
Now, you're both on Instagram as well. So, what's your Instagram handle?
Wes Reed Photography, I think.
I think that's it.
I'll add.
Yeah,
I'll
that
put
made
that
me
in the
think for
show
a second. I
notes.
was like, what is my name on Instagram? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
Scott,
one.
yours is nice and easy. Just Scott McCall.
Yeah, first name, last name.
Uh, Are
Nothing
you happy?
fancy.
Are you happy to field questions about the paper? If anyone has any bleeding, dire questions to ask,
For
Yeah,
sure.
ask him. Why not?
sure. Yeah, I mean, you wrote a whole paper about the things. You want to be happy to talk about them. You're talking about them here now, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, if people go out and find them, they should send us lat longs if it's outside of the distribution, because it would be
yeah,
really, really cool to kind of fill that map in a little bit and try and
it would
fill in
be.
some of those gaps. All we need
And
is a photo.
don't put them on INAT too unobscured potentially, unless you
Yes.
want your spot
it's
damaged.
useful information. Yeah, true.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it would be great to fill those gaps in. I just want to see how close like Umbra and Iridus get to each other, and
I
yeah,
reckon they could get quite close. I don't think I don't think Umbra would go off the sandstone. Like their niche seems pretty clean, but yeah, I think
yeah,
people might be able to find Iridus in some of the granite pretty close to it.
It is interesting though how sometimes species will deviate from their niches. Like there's Ackies that live in the black soil in the Barkley, which are I guess typically not associated with just barren plains. So you never know. There could be a couple of guys that stray.
that's
It
true.
could
I feel
be.
like yeah, you get like a male that wanders off trying to look for a new spot. There's always a couple of weird individuals.
I
I
reckon
don't
they
know how well
might.
they'd last.
Yeah, I reckon they might get out competed pretty quickly by Orientalis because like we were photographing an Umbra like Nick, Justin, and I, and Justin just looks over and he's like, "Oh, another goanna," and there was just a young Orientalis just walking by and then went up the tree and we're like, "Come back here!" Like, but it was right next to it. And I reckon yeah, as soon as they move much away from the rocks, they're probably facing pretty stiff competition. Would be my suspicion.
A valid point, Wes.
Could be wrong. Who knows?
Could
If
be
anyone
wrong.
finds one in a tree, that'll be weird.
That'd be awesome. Righto, fellas. Let's pull the pin. You happy?
Yeah.
Happy.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, boys. And as always, thanks everyone for listening. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, follow along. I'm on Instagram at joemac.uthl. Thanks again. Thanks, boys.
See ya.